Hello, everyone.
This was not the Pokemon movie I was promised.
Not even the Ryan Reynolds one
It
either.
wasn't even Detective Pikachu, which was the joke I was gonna make when we were gonna go see a different Pokemon movie. But it wasn't even a different Pokemon movie, because Brad was like, turns out the Pokemon movie's not showing, so let's watch this possession bullshit. And I'm like, okay.
I know. Once every year and a half, this happens where the movie we're reviewing, we didn't realize we were gonna see until we got to the movie theater. So and this was a movie I knew was coming out this weekend because it's like the only thing coming out this weekend. But even this afternoon, this was not listed as getting a pre-screening today. So I'm going to Wizard World Madison tomorrow, so I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna have to see this then when I get back. And
I know why I thought
today, yesterday, and the day before, they were showing some Fathom event of some Pokemon thing, and I wrote to you about it. I was like, hey, you want to see this Pokemon thing? Why not? It got a lot of people watched it when we talked about that Dragon Ball movie a year or so ago. So again, I double checked today to make sure that this wasn't getting shown and that The Power of Us or whatever it's called was being shown, and that was the case. And then when I got here a little bit before you did and saw on the wall like, oh, the Possession thing is playing tonight. And I was gonna ask you, like, well, which would you rather see? But then I looked up at the thing and was like, wait, that Pokemon thing isn't even listed on here, and it wasn't listed on my app anymore either. So I met you in the parking lot, like,
funny story.
well, do you want to see the Possession of Hannah Grace instead? And your first question was, how long is it? And I go, don't worry. The movie has our bags. It's
80
like
minutes.
80 minutes long.
Like, sold.
Absolutely. And had both movies been showing, which one would you have picked? Would you have picked Pokemon?
How long was Pokemon?
20 minutes longer.
I probably would have still picked Pokemon.
Yeah.
Sight unseen, just because cartoons kind of assume that I've got a short attention span. And like possession like horror movies aren't normally my bag, and
Yeah.
even less so possession movies, because there's so little places that they can go with it, other than the places that it's kind of already been. You know,
Yeah.
they don't tend to. We were talking to some dude in the lobby, and he used the phrase "didn't break any new ground," and I find that's true generally speaking for most possession movies. Like, they don't really. It's just like somebody's possessed, and they kill a bunch of people, and then they die, but then someone new turns out to be possessed. That's like literally every possession movie I've ever seen.
And most of the time it's all in the execution, because some of it can be
Yeah, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but it's always the same freaking movie.
yeah, I'll remember that question in a second.
They said that we were awesome.
So no, yeah, but some can tread waters that I've seen before, but it's handled in such a way that you know, the direction may be intense, the cinematography or the acting, that can certainly carry through it. Yeah, I mean, that's the case with a lot of horror movies. It could be the type of movie you've seen many times before, but it can be executed really well. And there are some things about this movie that I did like as far as the genre for this goes.
Yeah, they were trying a couple things, and some of them worked, and some of them didn't, which I'll get into here in a second.
Yeah.
But like,
That was a pack of cigarettes at first.
yeah.
I really didn't like this one,
I
huh?
have the sniffles, and so I'm gonna wipe my nose real quick.
It's a very sad
Bam!
movie.
I'll duck down so no one has to watch me do it.
So, the one thing that I like the plot of this film. I like that the opening scene is kind of the climax to what you would normally see in a possession movie, where the opening scene is The Exorcist. It's the girl's tied on the bed, the priest is in front of her, spraying her with holy water. And then the rest of the movie is about what happens when that body gets dropped off at the morgue.
3 months later. Well, okay.
Yeah, that opened up a lot of questions. But, like, other than that, the idea of the movie, I do like. I like, if you were to just show me the synopsis of this movie, I'd be like, okay, color me intrigued. This could make for a pretty decent exorcism movie that that I've not really seen before, where it's the main character is a former cop who I believe killed someone in the line of duty, or
No, she was like stopping a carjacking and she froze and the carjacker shot her partner.
right, okay,
So she was bummed that wasn't able to stop it.
gotcha. And so she's going through PTSD and everything.
She's
and,
like she's Alcoholics Anonymous. I guess she must
Yeah.
have gotten fired from her job for abusing alcohol and drugs.
so she's taken this job working the overnight shift at a morgue, and I like the steps that it's going through in here, showing her everything she needs to do in the morgue, like the pictures she needs to take, things about rigor mortis and stuff like
I was
that.
annoyed with her for not taking notes. I was like,
I mean, I bought it like
I've trained people before, and she was just standing there like, I think I know what I'm doing. I'm a cop, and you can see like, if I was the mortician guy, I'd be like, this is fucking complicated and my job. So how about at least pretend to be paying attention?
yeah. I mean, it set it up in a way to where I was like, all right, I believe her. She'll probably be fine at this. Because I mean, it's, you know, summing it up in about 30 seconds to a minute. Like, but even while it was doing that, it was showing. So I appreciated that it took a little bit of time to show certain steps they got to go through. So and then the body of the girl, Hannah Grace, who's the one who's possessed by some demon, the cops find her and they drop her off at the morgue, and then crazy horror movie possession stuff happens.
Nick Thune finds her and drops her off at the morgue. I don't know if he's just like roaming the streets looking for corpses, but there's like no chain of evidence or whatever. This movie's just like random people show up, drop off corpses, and leave.
And then her crazy dad Hannah Grace's crazy dad keeps breaking in to try to set it on fire. And
Yeah.
there were a lot of questions I had, like, what happened in the 3 months between him smothering her to death and her being found and ripped apart by
I don't know what
him?
the timeline must have
And
been.
why couldn't he have just set her on fire right after smothering her to death?
The thing is, she's apparently already been on fire because half her body is covered in burns.
yeah.
But he's still convinced that setting her on fire is the only way to defeat her. It's like, you've tried that before, obviously. But yeah, so I have to assume that Nick Thune like found the corpse. The dad was like, crap, it was like chasing the ambulance. Got there before the ambulance.
Yeah.
And then snuck in with the corpse.
Yeah, because he sneaks in the background when she
Yeah.
goes out to help Nick
But like,
Thune.
beat the corpse to the morgue. So
Uh-huh.
you're right, I have no idea what the order of events were between those 3 months and now.
The
I
editing.
thought that like Nick Thune was in cahoots because he was like, look over here and help me move this body.
I never necessarily thought that, because I'm gonna get more specifically into this later, but the editing in this movie is really bad. And I'll get a little more into that later, but I mean, it is a horror movie morgue. It is a morgue where the light's constantly flickering, and it looks like it'd be like a bunker in a post-apocalyptic zombie movie.
I'm trying to remember what the like architectural style is called, where it just looks like everything's made out of brutalist. Is that right? Where just everything looks like it's a concrete Rubik's cube, and it's just her wandering the halls of this, like, it looks like hallways that look like the outside of a bank from the 1970s.
Yeah.
It's like, what an awful morgue to live in.
I know, right? Like, I'm like, but I mean, why wouldn't this movie look like that with horror movie morgues? I've worked overnights in the basement at a hospital before, and I know this movie isn't supposed to be realistic, but
And I mean, like, so the shtick that they're using that I mentioned not working very well is that I guess the lights are on some sort of motion sensor to save money, and so every room she goes into, she has to be like, to get the lights to come on, and you can see what they're trying for, because then later she's looking at like security footage, and you see like, oh, the lights came on, and it's because of the shadow on the ground that turns out to be a possessed girl. But in the meantime, you're like leading off every scene with her like, and it ruined it every time. It wasn't much to ruin, but it was like, why is she flailing? Oh, right, the lights again.
It made it very easy for Hannah Grace, because Hannah Grace in this movie sometimes is just totally immobile and is just laying on that, what do you call it?
Gurney?
Yeah, in the gurney inside of the...
Only because she wants to be.
Yeah, and the other times she's like just straight up just like chasing people.
It's like an all-power... Like, possessions don't usually make people have like murderous brain powers in movies.
She kills people the same way in it, where she makes them. This is essentially a slasher movie with a possessed woman.
Yeah,
like, because
but again, with like supernatural brain powers.
yeah, she makes them like, she basically makes each person she kills, she makes them float. She breaks their bones. Yeah, she does, and then does like, puts them in like the Jesus pose, and then does something horrific with them afterwards. Sometimes she'll break their necks, or sometimes she's the guy at the beginning that she just slammed against an actual crucifix and it went through his fucking head.
And poor Dave, she was just like dragging him all over the room, and then just like slurped him into the mortician's drawer with her.
It is.
It's like, you could have just broken his neck. She broke the other lady's neck.
The way that it kills these people in the movie, you can. I mean, you sat there with the security officer Carnage, just going like, just die already. Because
Dave, his name was Dave. He was the most annoying comic relief character I've seen in a while, and that's saying a lot because there's been a spate of super annoying ones.
There's one part you missed when you went to the restroom at one point, where it was like the one kind of cheap jump scare in it, because Hannah Grace isn't the only one who can mysteriously teleport in this movie, which she does a lot. And so, but at one point, the main character is like putting a body away in the shelves, whatever they're called, and she closes the door, and behind it is suddenly Officer Ronald McDonald.
Oh, like, is that why she said, "Dave, you promise"?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he was suddenly standing there and popped up and scared her.
The
It was like, "I'm sorry, I'm just kidding, I'm sorry." That's why she was doing that later. She was like, "You promised me you wouldn't do this anymore."
But yeah, it's like, because that's the only reason he's like the only character whose name I know.
Yeah.
Because he dies, and for the rest of the movie, the only thing anyone can fucking talk about is, where's Dave? Where did Dave go? Dave!
Don't worry, I'm used to that. When I reviewed God's Not Dead 3, I also heard "Where's Dave" a lot.
He was there in spirit.
He was. So, yeah, and then poor fucking Nick Thune, like, it does the thing where he's talking to the main girl about how
on his phone, and there's a picture of like a toe-headed little 4-year-old boy, and I'm like, Nick, no, don't do it, man.
Don't do this, man. And I was sitting there, it's not going to be this obvious, is it? But then I remembered, this is the kind of movie that does one of the things I hate most in movies, where a character will just correctly guess someone's password. It does that in this movie.
Her ex-boyfriend's password was still her name, which, you changed that shit right away.
Yeah, like, so already this is a movie that's doing something like that. So of course, when Nick Thune is going on this monologue to her about how he used to be an alcoholic, he's put his life together, he gives her a high five, he shows her his son. Seconds later,
literally seconds later, the thing's like, scuttle, scuttle, scuttle.
Like, oh, come on. And I'm going like,
I heard you've overcome adversity.
Well, I'm like, why is it going after everyone else in this movie and not the one person who's standing a chance to actually destroy it? And they kind of allude to that later.
Because she's still wrestling with her addiction.
Yeah, because what this movie, the demon in this movie is depression. Like, the demon in this movie represents anxiety and represents depression. The father is talking about Hannah Grace, and that's all he says. He doesn't say, like, she's been possessed by the demon Pazuzu or whatever, anything like that. It's like, no, she was depressed and had bad anxiety, and that's the demon that's inside of her. And so everyone else in this movie, Nick Thune with alcoholism and how he overcame that with his son.
And her sponsor, who was...
Her sponsor who also works in the hospital. Everything that the main character is going through, too. And
Dave, who's never had a problem in his life. And black security guard, who was just there to die, apparently.
Yeah, and so some people where it just sneaks up on you and will kill you, even if you really have no history of it.
He was kind of rude, so maybe he struggled with social anxiety.
Yeah, and so, like, it even... So basically, that's what Hannah Grace is symbolizing throughout this whole movie, right down to a final shot where, like, the Fly shows up and like she could be coming back, but then the main girl smacks it against a wall and has narration where she's like, I'm 62 days clean. Like, I'm like, I understand what this movie is going for.
I think that's, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, that's it really. Like, I understand what this movie's going for. I understand what it's trying to say with all of this. So, okay, I respect it for that. It's not like it's trying to have any kind of bad message to it or anything. And even the plot of it, about how it's all with this former cop inside a morgue and that's where the body is. But it's just not a very good movie.
Because like I kept going back and forth. I see what you're saying about like the sort of, you know, metaphorical the allegorical nature of the villain in this, and I kept like wanting to give it credit for not coming out and saying stuff like that, or like at the end when she's got like her hair over her eyes, you're like, oh, is she, isn't she?
Yeah.
But then they kept doing such fucking obvious bullshit, like when Nick Thune's like, here's my boy, I love him so much, or like when there's like she'd run the fingerprints on Hannah Grace and was looking at it, and like it kind of like shows the driver's license picture real quick, and then she goes, and like flashes back to like the corpse and like her eyes and they're blue, and then like she looks back at the screen, and then she looks over and she walks over to the thing and she opens the bin, and then she like pulls out another copy of the driver's license and like points to where it says eyes brown and just goes like,
It was doing things like
this
that.
This movie thinks I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna give it credit for shit.
It was, no, and I agree with you. Like, it was hand walking you through everything. It is a movie made up of people doing numerous things they shouldn't be doing throughout the whole thing, opening things they shouldn't, going places they shouldn't. So while it's like there's certain things about it I respect. At the end of the day, it is a horror movie and it's not that scary.
Yeah.
It does.
Well, that's the thing, is that the parts that I was trying to respect it for. What I was trying to get around to in a roundabout way and then lost my train of thought is that I wonder if the parts where they explained explicitly those things that I respected were just cut out of the movie to make it 80 minutes.
Oh,
like maybe there was like a last scene at the end where she moved her hair and her eye was blue.
Yeah, because while I struggle with a lot of things about this movie, because like I actually also think it's a well-acted movie.
Oh yeah.
And it is. Yeah, I thought the acting was good. Like, even on the part of like the contortionist they have playing Hannah Grace.
She was like popping her shoulders in a way that was like super grossing me out. And like
she was going for it, and she spends like all this movie naked. Like, so she's really going for it in this film. There are good scenes with the main girl and Nick Thune, like aside from where it leads to after that, and her and her sponsor have some well-acted scenes as well. But then there is some cheap shit in this movie, like, because the movie really isn't that scary. It's too cheap to be scary.
Yeah.
Or it's written too cheap to be scary. And then it does this sequence, like, at the climax, which was so horribly edited. Like, not in a way since I've seen
the Nick
since...
Thune's head? Is that what you're talking about?
No. That, not that. Like, the scene where the father turns back up and they're trying to shove her in the incinerator, and then the father ends up in it.
Yeah, it's like this weird sort of like judo flip, but they didn't really...
It was edited like that climax from The Snowman, where it felt like there were shots missing.
Real missing.
Yeah, it felt like it was just skipping every 3 seconds and became this condensed mess of sequences, to the point to where I didn't know if this was actually happening. Like, I didn't know if this was happening or if this was a vision a character was getting if they were to do something like this. Like, but then it turns out this was something that was actually happening. It's just edited so bad and so spliced and stitched together to try to turn what was obviously a longer sequence into like 30 seconds. It's a pretty big moment in the movie, story-wise, but it's just condensed down to like 30 seconds, just again, to get it to like 85 minutes long. Like, were you noticing that, like, at all, this whole sequence? Like, how...
I'm bad at picking up on stuff, like cinematographical lips, which is not a word. But stuff like that. I'm,
Yeah.
like when the boom mic dips into frame, I'm like the last person who's gonna notice.
Oh.
Or like when it misses that rule about not
Oh,
turning.
the 180 rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I do admit during that scene I had a hard time keeping track of what was
I could
happening,
tell 'cause
all
I
of a
was-
sudden she was just like over here, and then
Yeah.
it was like.
And then they're in this place now. Then this is happening. Then he's in there. That person's now dead. Like, I had a feeling you were, because I wanted to ask to make sure first, but I had a feeling because I kind of looked over and you were sitting there like this.
What?
Like your hand on face like this, like me trying to figure out what is happening before me.
50% of those were just like, what the hell? And 50% of them were like, oh no, because
Yeah.
I can't help myself in horror movies or like thrillers.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to start like making the faces of the emotions that are happening on screen.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm a big old dork. Like,
See, that's why you need to go.
no.
See, that's why you need to go see more possession movies. They are an endless supply of like of facial expressions you could be making. But you know what? It's not that scary of a movie. It's really
not.
it's really not scary at all. But look, it's like
Just sad. Me and this movie had a moment.
Yeah.
I feel like that I wanted to mention. I think it was when Dave was in the stairwell. No, it was when her AA sponsor went out to the stairwell to have
Yeah.
a cigarette right before Dave started bleeding on her. Where I just like kind of like drew back outside my body to kind of watch myself watching this blip of a movie that I literally only heard of for the first time tonight, where these people are just acting their guts out in what's already supposed to be the embodiment of like isolation and loneliness, and it kind of like made me feel lonely for the movie. Which, if that's what they were going for, bravo.
yeah. Imagine if we were the only ones in there.
Yeah, well, we kind of almost were, because the guy behind us was saying that he really only saw it because he's got that A-list.
I'm on
thing.
A-list, so I'm
The
seeing
guys
this
in
shit.
front of us were stoned out of their goddamn minds.
Yeah, they
I
were.
was talking about, like, something smells like burning, and I was, like, looking around, and I realized, oh, that's just, they smell so strongly of weed that it, like, smells like they're on fire.
And then when you noticed it got stronger, it's because they changed seats and sat closer to us. There's two guys with dreadlocks in there.
They're like, oh, they're enjoying our smells. Let's waft at them.
Yeah, I knew something was up when it was a near empty theater and they sat in the front row. And so, like, you know a movie's in trouble where on preview night they automatically put it in the smallest theater
Yeah.
in there. So
It was like it was such an isolating movie. We had nothing going for it except how hard the people in it were trying.
yeah, they are good.
No one was phoning it in. Everyone was
No.
like doing their damage. Like Nick Thune maybe a little bit, but his shtick has always been that sort of like
Yeah, he was good. He was likable.
carefree, sardonic guy. you
Yeah.
know? And the dad was
Someone from Westworld.
yeah, he was Abernathy, the original Abernathy. The dad of the what's her face character, and he was like acting those little guts out. He like
No, yeah.
parts where like his eyes were just like welling with tears, and they're like kind of like piercing glue.
Yeah.
And it just made me sad.
It's I mean you're accurate when you call it just a blip of a movie because like it's not a terrible film. Like there's enough about it that I like just fine, but look, it's got enough going for it in that like the acting's fine. The acting is good. The acting is really good. The plot's fine. It's short. It's like 85 minutes long. And there's really silly shit in this movie and some things that are
It's my
edited
boy.
badly and like really cheap story points and cheap kills and stuff like that. But mixed in with the fact that it's short and there's decent things about it. You could rent this movie. Like if this movie were to pop up on Netflix or something and you just want like just, I don't know, a Friday night to watch something that is perfectly serviceable for that.
Yeah, and you
That's
can,
what
like,
this is.
You can zone out for 5 minutes and not lose the plot. There's like
Yeah.
like literally half of this movie is just a morgue drawer opening and closing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they go back to that a lot in it.
Just scream for the 20th time. Click.
I know, they do that. Man, it is one of those movies where it's like she needs to get the fuck out of there.
Just get the
Like,
fuck out of
just
there.
get the fuck out. Like, I understand she's a former cop, and like that at least leads to some believability, at least that she would kind of want to investigate this. But get the fuck out of there. When you've noticed that this body, who this guy shows up and tries to burn it, says, no, she's possessed, she's still alive. And then it starts healing itself. Get the fuck out of there.
Didn't that corpse have a big old gash on its side?
And dude is...
Also, didn't it just turn its head and look at me?
Yeah, and then Nick Thune's like, there's got to be a logical explanation. Like, fuck you. No.
It's his dumb fault in the first place.
Yeah, it is his fault.
It there. God damn you, Nick Thune.
No, it's a rental. It's a good rental, but it's you don't need to see this in theaters.
Just like these little actors did their damnedest. And maybe it's because of the moment I had, but I feel like, yeah, give them some attention. It's like 80 minutes worth of your attention.
Yeah, why not? Trailers.
Yeah. They're on my arm. I gotta get my arm out.
Yeah.
So, this pen was not a good pen. 5 feet apart. Oh! Cole Sprouse and...
The Sick movie. This year's Sick, or next year, I guess it comes out.
Fault in Our Stars 2. Faultier.
I leaned over to you and went like, I feel like we see this movie every year.
It's A Fault in Our Stars. It's Wheelchair Suicide.
Everything.
Everything.
Midnight Sun.
The Space Between Us.
Yeah.
It's basically like teenagers that want so badly to touch each other, but they can't because diseases.
They want love and they want to live. I will say this about this movie, like, don't know how it'll turn out, but like, at least, and I said this to you when the trailer was on, I was like, well, okay, at least they look sick in this one.
Yeah.
Because, like, a lot of these we go see, it's like they're stricken with the disease called handsome.
Yeah, it's just like Augustus, whatever the shit, just hale and hearty. They're like, yeah, I've got things, there's something wrong with my leg.
No, like Bella Thorne in Midnight Sun, who can't go outside with the girl and everything, where it's like, okay, yeah, sure.
Okay,
you
well, that would have
like
made sense, because twist.
Oh, well, okay, all right, you're right, it does make sense in that one.
But yeah, this one, like, they look sick, and, like, I could see myself getting invested in them boinking, which is, like, for me,
That's a necessity.
Yeah, that's the benchmark for, like, a romantic movie, is, do I care if you have sex?
Yeah.
I do, then proceed. Pet Cemetery, which I spelled wrong by spelling right.
I hope this means we also get a remake of Pet Sematary 2.
Was that one any good?
Yes. Yeah, no, it's terrible, but it's good. Because Clancy Brown is the one who gets buried.
The Kurgan?
Yeah, he plays an abusive stepdad in it, and they fucking bury his ass. And he comes back and kills, like, his kid with a motorcycle.
We're watching that, the Ballad of Buster Scraggs or whatever the shit on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
It shows up in like for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, how was that?
It was good.
Nice.
Dude, the kid, there's one vignette that's got that kid who played Dudley Dursley in Harry Potter.
Oh, okay.
And he fucking kills it, man.
Nice.
I was like tears streaming down my face. Like, it's legitimately good.
I didn't even realize that was out. So yeah, I'll have to check that out.
So yeah, Pet Cemetery, Buster Scruggs. Alita Battle Angel.
I think it looks like mediocre. Laura says it looks really, really terrible. And more often than not, she's right about that kind of thing. She was the one who warned us about life itself.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Those bug eyes.
It looks better
Something
than...
about it feels gross to me. Like, whatever the psychology behind making her look the way she looks in this movie. They're gonna have to really explain why they made her... They gave her, like, that pumpkin face flashlight anime eyes.
Does she look like that in the source material for it?
Know.
Neither do I.
Is the source material a manga?
I don't know, honestly. I'm the wrong... That was why it would have been great.
I was waiting for someone to pop up like, actually...
That was why it was a good idea for us to go see Pokemon.
Thank you, Holly.
Because I don't know the answers to these questions. No, I don't. Like, I'm fine with it only because I remember the first trailer they put out for this, like, almost a year ago, and it looked way worse. Now it's like when they put it out, like, when they did effects touch-ups and everything, I'm like, yeah, okay, it's a little off-putting, but it looks better. I think all of this is just secretly a sequel to Big Eyes, which also had Christoph Waltz in it.
Okay, yeah, if it turns out it's what with the shit, Carol and Keen.
Yeah.
If it turns out it's her art come to life, then
Yes.
I'm 100% on board.
Same here.
If it turns out they just wanted to make her look like anime without making any of the other characters look like anime, then I would be fucking pissed. Happy Death Day to You.
I'm
I still
looking.
want to watch the original. You said it was good.
No, it is. Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun. And this one, the first one was also sold like it would be like a slasher movie, but with funny parts in it. This trailer's definitely emphasizes the comedy a lot, which good because the other one was pretty funny. And I didn't even know they were making this until we got a sequel for it a few weeks ago. But yeah, I like the first one, and a lot of why the first one was so good was because the main girl was so good in it. And she looks like she's having a lot of fun in this one,
Yeah,
too.
I like the part where she's like walking across the quad the first day she comes back. She's like, ah!
Yeah.
She's
really funny.
Same hat or whatever the shit.
Yeah.
Aquaman.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, it looks like fun.
The early word
They
on
all
it is
look like
pretty
fun,
good.
and then you watch them when they're fucking humorless and garish.
This one looks like it'll have some good humor in it. Like, the early word on it's pretty good. And he was one of the better parts of Justice League. So, no, yeah, I mean, I certainly hope it's good, because I think it's probably like 2.5 hours long. But it's also James Wan, and I love James Wan.
I was getting confused with who is the guy that did the Fast and the Furious movies with Han in them.
Oh, James Wan did part 7, and you're Justin Justin Lin.
Yeah, because him I liked. Part 7 was fine, but I thought it was him for a second, and I got all excited because I was really a favorite of the Fast and the Furious franchises.
No,
At least of which because Han and Gal Gadot were fucking adorable.
Yeah. Oh, maybe Han will show up in this film.
Only
Hopefully
if
it's
it's
the
also
same
with
character.
fucking, what was her name? Jacqueline?
Oh, shit, I can't remember.
Yeah, whatever her character's name was. They were adorable. Justine, maybe. The Intruder. That looks awesome. Who was that guy? Randy Quaid?
That was Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid.
Well, it'd be real life if it was Randy Quaid. You know what it looks like? Did you ever see Cold Creek Manor?
No, but you told me about it.
Did I? It's pretty bad, but like it's the same plot as this film, only in Cold Creek Manor. It's Dennis Quaid as the married guy who's getting stalked by the neighbor.
We've come full circle.
Yeah, this time it's Dennis Quaid in the Stephen Dorff role. And fucking Cold Creek Manor like sold itself like it was a ghost movie. You remember this?
No.
Oh, okay. The trailer for that fucking movie showed like, cause it's Dennis Quaid and Sharon Stone. They move into the new house, and in the trailer, it's showing like it looks like a ghost is sneaking into bed with her. You go see the movie, nah, it's like The Wind, and the plot of the movie is that like fucking Stephen Dorff is the neighbor and is stalking them. That's this
This
movie.
is like it's pretty much the same, except in this one he's like sells them the house, but
Yeah.
then keeps like coming over to mow the lawn and shit, and is playing this like a do 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 sort of song in the background, but then he keeps coming, and then he's like climbing into bed with the wife.
Yeah. At first I was like, are we doing Lawnmower Man again?
It looks good.
It does. I'm excited.
It looks creepy.
I want to see Dennis Quaid play a bad guy in a stalker thriller.
Yeah, well, he's got like a baseball cap, like the goofy ass Dennis
Yeah.
Quaid face, but then he's just there.
That's my house.
Oh no! Escape room.
Oh yeah,
Which
yeah.
again, if they get to the end of that shit and Pinhead's just standing there like, I have such sights to show you, I'm gonna be so excited.
I hope to God that's what it is. Like, there was also apparently some movie in 2017 called Escape Room, because we got some comments that were like, I swear I saw this movie last year, and I go, is this one of those friend request situations where like the movie's already on DVD in certain parts of the world? there is some movie called Escape Room that's not this, unless that also is the case with this one, but there was some movie from just like a year ago that's also called Escape Room.
That's the way with horror movies, is because you're like, there's this idea that, oh, you know, he'll be most afraid of like the things going on right now that like tug at their subconsciousness. So like you get like a spade of shark movies and like a spade of Facebook movies, and so now we're probably gonna have like a spade of escape room movies.
No, it means that they're coming back, because we did have that like 10 years ago with all the Saw movies. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. A nice, like, a nice January horror film that I can go see, laugh at, and kind of forget about it afterwards.
I feel like the Saw movies, because that was about the same time as like Seven came out.
No, 7 was way before. 7 was 95.
Because I put those all in the same bucket of like, you know, being afraid of someone taking advantage of the fact that deep in your heart you kind of want to die a little bit all the time.
Yeah, I see that with like the first Saw movie. When it started getting a little more cartoonish, like, not really.
Being afraid of a puppet on a tricycle, which again, deep in your heart, isn't that every man?
Oh yeah. I don't want that shit showing up in my house. Was that the last one that we got?
That was the last one. No, I wanted to remind you to answer that money question.
Oh yeah, okay. So that was George Cartwright. Thank you for the donation, by the way, to the super chat.
Hooray for George!
That was asking us,
Michigan?
yeah, if we were gonna do any cons in Michigan. I got Madison this weekend, and then New Orleans on the first weekend of January, and Portland at the end of February. They're all Wizard Worlds. And I might be doing the full circuit for Wizard World. Maybe, we'll see. But we're in talks right now to do the full circuit for Wizard World. But at the least, we're doing the next 3.
What does that entail?
Quite a bit of
It's
conventions.
just like a hell.
I don't know if there's one in Michigan. If there is, then yeah, we'll be there. I'm not sure if there's one there this year though. But yeah, if there's one like somewhere around in Michigan, then yeah, we'll totally be there. But yeah, just look at the list on Wizard World to see. But hey, if you're gonna be in Madison, New Orleans, or Portland for those Wizard Worlds, we'll be there.
I want to go to Portland.
I've never been before, so yeah, I'm probably gonna have to fly to that one, because
My understanding is they put a bird on everything.
a bird. Oh, nice.
And also Kyle MacLachlan's the mayor.
And they also put Kyle MacLachlan on everything. His face on everything. It's like Lincoln in Springfield.
Yes.
His silhouette is on their power plant. A giant statue of Kyle MacLachlan at their fairgrounds.
You laugh, but it's true.
I gotta go to this place. All right, everyone. I don't know what's coming out next week, but you know, whatever it is, we'll be there. Maybe it'll be a surprise movie like this one. See ya. Have a good weekend.
It'll be Detective Pikachu.